Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Roman.
So thank you for joining us today. And Roman, exactly as you mentioned, we are TwinRed. We are an ad network. We have all the different formats, so pop-unders, interstitials, pre-rolls, push. But we wanted to concentrate on the native ad format today because we have recently come up with our amazing solution. And more importantly, we've seen it work across a number of different verticals. So this presentation is really to help affiliates scale their native conversions and really try and test and run different verticals based on what we have seen works.
Yes, definitely. So indeed, I mean, the native ads is a game changer, knowing that in the advertising industry, it has become so prevalent in the adult industry that internet surfers are becoming blind, blind to ads. So banner blindness is quite bad for marketing and advertising. So native ads comes as a solid solution for it.
So we'll start our presentation now. If you guys can see it, yeah.
So the basics, what are native ads? So basically, native ads fit seamlessly into a website. They provide more rich content than traditional banners. They're not always evident that it's an ad unless you see like recommended or sponsored by. And these are like perfect examples of a native ad. Then the structure of a native ad consists of an image with no text. It's very important to remember that, no text on the image. Then a headline, and here we have an example of a headline that says, "You won't believe what these bears did." And then a brand name. It's important. It's in this case, the example is Bears Galore. And the last point is call to action, which is optional. And later on, I'll explain why it's optional. In this case, the example says watch now. So the result, here you have different examples of native ads. As you can see, they come in different formats because it depends on the publisher's site to set the sizes. So that's why they look different depending on where they're positioned or integrated on a website. So there you have the brand name, that's how it looks like, the headline, and then call to action. See, and then on the site, these are two different blocks. These are the native blocks, and this is how they look like on a website.
So by now, I'm pretty sure that most affiliates at least know the basics of native ads. Also, if you go on mainstream sites, you've probably already seen plenty of examples. So here we'll cover some things that we recommended on the TwinRed campaign setups with our native solution. So one thing that's important to note is our native ads will be automatically scaled for different sizes and devices. Now, what we just saw, the different formats of the ad, is using our test and crop feature, which is quite unique to TwinRed. And this is one of the most important parts because you want to be able to crop your image and then test what it would look like with different sizes, so 300, 250, 300, 100, and ensure that your ad is really optimized for all of these formats. We also have the city, country, and browser macros. So these will automatically adjust based on who you're targeting. And this really does make your headline more clickable as it really speaks to your audience more. We also recommend to use a higher frequency capping than banner campaigns because what we will find is that with native, there's a lot of focus on the actual creative. So you do need to use a higher frequency capping to test which of your native ads have a higher CTR, perform the best. And once you find the winning creative, you really want to increase your chances of conversions. But for this, we do recommend running CPC campaigns because they're more targeted and they're cost effective, as you would only pay for the users that are clicking on it, so the users that are interested in what you have to promote. For this reason as well, test multiple creatives. You really have to put a lot of focus onto your creatives. So you'd be advised to have around 3-4 per placement. And more than that, creating more than one placement in order to appear more than once in one native blog. This way, not only can you test different approaches, but you can also increase your chances of converting. And we'll see here a perfect example from mainstream. And as you can see, these two ads that are circled are offering the exact same product, but they're A/B testing a different approach in order to see which approach speaks to their audience better, and furthermore, they are increasing their chances of converting. So really, this is a perfect example of how to optimize your native ads within one placement.
Can you imagine like a Nutra offer, you know, doing exactly the same approach?
This does remind me of a bit of a Nutra offer, to be honest. So to go into a bit of why native.
Yes, why native? So as I started in the beginning of the presentation, the problem we're having nowadays is the banner blindness. So the banners work really well, you know, but we need to find a solution to the banner blindness, because banners, they are saturated in the adult, everyone uses them. The banner blindness, as I explained before, then the need to spend more money and time to stand out, you know, to make your banner stand out in the current landscape, which is saturated, then it's less flexible for creative content. And it's also only for regular spots available. I mean, in TVS, and also on the footers and sometimes in the homepage cube. Whereas the natives, if used correctly, they catch the user's attention better. It's easy to be creative and focus on quality creatives. Also, it's cost effective, especially running CPC, which is the most recommended pricing model for natives. Then the extraordinary spots available for natives. That means you can find natives on the top, in the middle, on the footer, on the NTVS. You can find them anywhere, and they blend in with the content. And then the ability to create seamless user funnel from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So
what we'll be covering here is exactly what we're talking about. You can run any vertical that you want on native, but you just need to spend a lot more focus and time on the actual creatives. However, these are so easily created, and we will go through all the examples here and all the verticals. So to start off with gaming, use a high quality image, okay? With gaming, the user needs to see the value of the game. Use an uncluttered image, so maximum 1 or 2 characters so they can really stand out on all devices and formats. And most importantly, and we will be doing this a lot, is A/B test. So in this case, you want to test, let's say, a cartoon versus a more realistic approach, as well as something taboo versus a traditional image. And in your text, you need to align your text with the images. And this is what we mean by having a seamless user flow. So as an example, if you're promoting something that's taboo angle, use words such as shocking, weird, a more negative approach. If you're doing something with a realistic, sexy image, then emphasize the game characteristics. What are the unique selling points? And also challenge the users to play your game. So that's why affiliates often use phrases like, bet you won't last 30 seconds. And here we'll see some example using bears. There will be a lot of bears in this presentation. So one approach is the more cartoon approach where you're challenging the user to play it. So bet you can't beat level 3. And the other one has a more high quality, you know, a realistic image showing build and customize your own bear. So emphasizing a unique selling point. And in terms of traffic source tips recommendations, what we see is a lot of people want to target only hentai sites because those are closely related. Don't just stick to hentai sites. Sites with a younger audience, for example, convert really good. Also, for taboo and cartoon approaches, do target BDSM and niche sites. Moving on to video on demand. So create curiosity, okay? Do not give everything away with your still. You need to use subtle and unrevealing images from the scene so the user is curious to find out more about the content that you will provide. And also differentiate between free content, because your ad will appear with a lot of free content. So you really want to use high quality and unique content creatives. On the text, A/B test descriptive text versus like informational and numbers. So things like he was waiting in the kitchen to create suspense versus special offer $4.99. And also test different niche angles. So here we see 2 approaches again. These bears started fighting on them, so it kind of gives you curiosity. And on the right, we do have a more informational approach, limited offer, giving the users more detailed information. For the traffic sources, what we've seen is aggregator sites work very well, sites high in organic traffic. And again, BDSM and niche sites really work with video on demand. Then one of our favorites, verticals cams. And what we find here is, again, as we always are saying, A/B tests. So A/B test between a dress versus a revealing image, for example. It's really important to adjust models based on country preferences as well. So research what each country likes and test less posed images. On the text, do try special offers such as free credits, speaking to users, outline the USP. So we'll quickly run through a few more examples. So here's an example of using the macros and finding different bears for different audiences. And here as well, you'll find some traffic source tips. So mobile devices work really well, mobile headers, mobile footers, and check that your ad is near the pagination. Then for dating, very similar kind of advice, but in terms of adjusting the models for the cultural preferences and not revealing too much, keep the users curious. This is also vertical that benefits the most from macros and emojis, as well as using niche creatives. So here's a few more of our bear examples. So one, we're testing a bit of a niche creative, and there we're using a kind of macro for city to make it very targeted for the user. And again, try to target country local sites, image uploaders, as well as in content native spots. Then we have a bit of crypto and gambling. So make sure that your creatives are relevant and they show exactly what you're promoting. Do not mislead users with purely adult creatives, and test the text between get rich now approach, like an aggressive approach, and more of an informational approach. So use numbers and statistics to kind of elicit trust from the users. So again, here you see the kind of two different approaches. And here we found that desktop NTVs and native desktop footers, as well as tier 2 geos, convert really well. And finally, we have Mitra. So here it's a kind of approach between scientific approach, featuring the product, and featuring more the effect of the product. Again, match the two approaches. If you're using a scientific approach, have scientific information. So here again, this is a more curious approach, and this is a more scientific approach featuring the other product, featuring numbers. And here, actually, sites with referral traffic convert well. Native under video players are great. And here it's important to use higher frequency capping as well. And finally,
yes, the most important thing is that everything should match. I mean, the importance of creatives and landing pages are very important in natives. So creating a seamless flow consists of landing pages matching the native creatives perfectly. If using a specific approach, I mean, shocking, numeric, informational, ensure that the pre-landers match the same approach. So create relevant and add content-rich user funnel, and always match the language, creatives, and landing page to the country targeted. So targeted creative, relevant pre-lander, strong landing page, and final offer, and make money. So thank you very much, and happy native
testing.
And we are here again. Thank you, Anna and Tarik. That was interesting masterclass to listen to. And I do have a few questions for you. Actually, we both have a few questions. Do you want to begin?
No, sir.
All right. Well, the first question that I have in mind is about traffic sources for your native ads. Regarding to websites, have they seen before some native ads, or you have something on exclusivity?
We have both. So of course we have some exclusive spots, which include some niche sites, some BDSM sites, as well as some image uploading sites, which as we mentioned, convert really well for dating, as well as non-exclusive sites. So if you contact our account manager, they could easily provide you a whitelist of our exclusive native spots to test.
Yes, indeed. Also, if I may add, also all the verticals that Anna explained and all the tips, they're based on sites that we already have, like aggregator sites, anti sites, and also uploaded images sites. All these we have them. We have some on exclusivity and others on non-exclusive.
Tarik, this question is for you, but probably Anna, you can also address this one. In terms of publishers, so for publishers, as a general rule, is it more profitable to have native ads instead of regular banners? What is going on there in the adult industry right now?
I know Anna wants to answer this one, so yeah,
that's a good question, isn't it?
Well, you know, it's an area I like. I would say, look, really it depends, but I would say definitely native ads are, if not your main source of revenue, they can definitely be an additional source of revenue. As mentioned, you know, you can still have your NTVAs, NTVBs, for example, as regular banners, and for native, you can create completely new spots like within your content. A second thing to mention is that you count impressions differently with native. So if you have one 900 times 250 footer, that's one banner. However, you can stick up to, let's say, 6 native ads, and that will give you 6 times the amount of impressions. So your eCPM might be lower, but your daily revenue would be higher because you're serving 6 times more impressions. And finally, what I'd like to mention is that TwinRed has a pretty cool solution, which is the compete mode. And what that means is any banner zone that a publisher has, you can switch it to compete. And basically, if a native gets a higher CPM, we will show native. And if a banner gets a higher CPM, we show a banner. So this way, a publisher can maximize their revenues by always getting the higher CPM, and you don't really have to choose.
All right, never seen that anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, a question from me. Will I be able to track my results with you in commonly used tracking platforms?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we have actually, you can set up tracking up with up to 3 conversions. So we have S2X tracking, we have pixel tracking, and yeah, you'll be able to track whatever you want. Simple to set up.
All right.
And last question from myself. In your experience, well, not experience, you definitely know it, in general, is adult natives are less expensive than mainstream, or the price is around the same?
It's much cheaper. So again, I've actually worked in mainstream native a few years back. That's where I started off. And for sure, adult native is much cheaper, especially because, as I mentioned, you can get really big volumes. So if advertisers have frequency capping, you know, a lot of those volumes can get outsold. And this is why, especially for tier 1, they're cheaper than even banners, they're cheaper than mainstream. So it's a very cost-effective way to scale your campaigns, especially running them on CPC.
Yeah, indeed. Just to add one thing, yeah, it is very cheap, but also if you want to make it work, because it works, it should always go in hand with creativity. I mean, good creatives, and also applying all the tips that Anna mentioned on the masterclass, and also matching the creatives, the banners with the landing pages. There should be some energy, put in effort on the creatives to make it work, really.
Right, and we have 1 more minute, so Anna and Tarik, if you have anything to add, go ahead. 1 minute is yours.
I want to say hi to my mom. I want to say hi to my friends.
No, what I would say is, look, we're adding new sources every day to our inventory. As you probably know, when an ad network launches a new format, that's exactly when you want to go and test it out, because that's when the inventory is really lively and you can kind of get cost-effective, good quality traffic and keep testing new sources.
Thanks
And
a lot,
actually, we're
guys.
signing new sources for native, in the coming weeks.
Cool. Thank you. It was nice talking to you as always. And bye-bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.